Hello, I'm Jack Jones with Rolla, and I'm here with
Sam Jones, Triptych.
Triptych. Is that
Triptych is the project name, yeah.
Project name. You wouldn't really call it a band because it's a one-man thing, innit?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to call it in that aspect, because when people say solo artist, it means quite a different thing, you know. If I said solo artist, it'd often more come across as I suppose a singer-songwriter sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which I've done in the past already, so I've used my name for that, so I didn't want to call it the same sort of thing.
I get it. That makes sense. That makes enough sense, yeah. I've seen Sam on stage just before. We're in the Jacaranda, of course. We're in the Jacaranda. Seriously, the amount of skill, the amount of effort he's put into his music, that commands respect. It commands respect. I've got a few words from Sam himself. So, how did you get into this kind of, not solo artist kind of stuff, but how did you put it yourself? You said,
well, it's something I've been doing for a long time in terms of recording. Like, I've been recording music for 10 years now, since I was a kid and just had a single shit mic and just started going from there.
Yeah.
And that was just where I started out, and since then I've always just made recordings for my own pleasure, really. And it's just something which I love, the fact that I can sit at a computer and make a really layered, dense recording of stuff.
Yeah.
But until now, I've never really thought that maybe this is something I can actually put together live by myself. So it's a lot of effort. Using a lot of loop stations, using Ableton Live. Yeah. So I'm using Ableton Live for the laptop stuff, and I have a synth as well, which is all patched in together. Just sorting out the patch took me about 2 months just to work out what I was doing, really.
I'm the kind of person who likes to do something and maybe wait for maybe a month or two and get into it. So I think somebody who's really developed on their trade, something, it's kind of electronic, kind of funk, kind of hard rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something around there.
I think anybody who's really developed the kind of, I don't know what I should say, but it's really developed. You should listen to this, definitely. Listen to his music. There'll be a link in the description. So, how long have you been doing this for, Sam?
So I've been doing Triptych for about, I've been doing Triptych for about 6 months.
6 months?
So I've played about, in the last 3 or 4 months is when I started playing gigs with it. And I've done 10 to 15 shows around the country, I think, something like that. So not many. I'm still finding my feet and working out. But there's always so many things which can go wrong.
Yeah.
So it's often a lot of practice to work out how to get things right.
You've done 10 to 15 gigs around the country. So where have you been?
So I've played Manchester, Liverpool a bunch of times because it's like my home away from home. I did Glasgow, I've done Worcester, Nottingham, I think that's it, and Bristol as well.
So you've been all over.
Yeah.
Listen, you've got to be certain if you've been able to travel that far, haven't you?
It's a lot of late night driving.
I can imagine, yeah. So, what made you first get into this kind of style of music? Was it the fact that you didn't have a band, or were you in bands? Or?
Yeah, so it's the fact that my band Atlas, who are from Liverpool as well, because we're scattered around the country, we've just had to really cut our gig output. And as someone who loves playing live, I just wanted to make sure I was still being able to go to gigs and get on stage and play something.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a drive to do that, and I also just write a lot of music myself, and it's just like it's a big mental release for me to be able to write loads of music.
Yeah.
And I write more than I could teach a band. So being able to just go and put together an EP by myself is a separate. So to have that self-sufficiency is something which I really like, because it means I can just go wherever I want, whenever I want, even if it kills me the next day. Like, I mean, I drove home from Glasgow on a couple of nights earlier this week, and had to go to work the next day, and it's a long fucking drive to Southampton.
I mean, I'd love to be able to do that. Just go wherever, spend the night there. Mm-hmm. Say you've been there, say you've seen the sights and all that.
I love just being able to. It's quite funny because the way I have to prepare for the set, I have to really learn a series of songs, so I can't just throw a new song in. I have to prepare a set, rehearse it, which means that I can't get away with playing the same place over and over, because I'm not giving anything new.
Yeah.
So for me, the best thing to do is to be able to just go and play that set to as many people as possible across the country, And now I'm looking at, you know, doing another EP, working on some new music, and then getting that ready for live, and then I can do the circuit again.
So are you kind of on tour with each circuit, aren't you?
In a very like loose sense, yeah. Like I book gigs when I can, and just try and keep a bit of momentum.
Where are you from originally?
So I'm originally from Southampton.
Southampton. Yeah.
On the south coast. I then went to uni here in Liverpool, and then I lived here afterwards as well, doing some recordings and working as a sound tech. And then I had to move home again. So this is very much like Liverpool's a special place for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's one I always come back to. I've always got friends here. You know, it means I get the chance to come up and hang with everyone, and I really like playing gigs here because I know the scene a bit, you know?
Yeah. That makes sense, yeah. So you're obviously quite musical yourself.
I like to think so, in the sense that I work hard at music and I try and work out what sounds good.
Definitely.
And try and do it, you know. I'm not a very technical person when it comes to guitar. I've always been someone who likes exploring sounds and stuff, and it's just a lot of, you know, I have quite a big pedal board and I use loops as well, so it's a lot of footwork. It's just practice and practice, really. I think anyone could do it. It's just, you know, it just takes a lot of time to work it out.
Yeah. That's the thing I commend. I mean, anyone could do anything if they put the work into it, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, when I first started doing this, I mean, it took me 2 months before I could string a song together, let alone 4.
2 months. So it was 2 months just learning the ropes.
Basically, yeah. And my first gig was, you know, went really wrong because of there are so many technical aspects to it, and I have to use headphones on stage to hear myself and to hear my loop. I have to sync my drum machines and stuff and all my metronomes. So it takes a long time just to get to a standard where you feel like you're confident to perform. Yeah. And even then, you play live and it will still go wrong, and you don't know that until you've been out on stage and actually seen where it fucks up.
I was going to say, it really takes some confidence to go out there, fuck up, but still be like, you know what? This is what I want to do. I'm doing this.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just resilience, isn't it, at the end of the day? Everyone's played shit gigs.
Yeah.
Everyone's first gigs, you know, in any band, project, was always never going to be the best thing in the world. And I've got to a good standard with other bands where I can just go and play a gig and I'm very confident. I had to build that confidence up again with Triptych. And so it's quite a harsh learning process, but it's one I quite like that loop of, you know, having to really be unconfident again and having to sort of earn your stripes again. It's it's a really satisfying thing. I love doing it.
Yeah, I can really see where you're coming from there. I mean, no, but I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
That's to earning the you know, that thing there. Yeah,
It's a slow process, but it's one I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Seriously, I can't see me on stage alone without me mates there. Really, I'll just be there singing the shittest tunes, going, oh no, where do we mates to back me up here?
That's why I use a bass amp too. I run it through a bass amp as well, just to make it a bit fatter. Got some bass bands who do that, and I really like how it works. So trying to sound like a full band by yourself is really, it's not as easy as it sounds. It takes a lot of time to work out how you sound and what comes out of your amps and stuff.
What do you actually use to make the sound? What do you use to make your sound, basically?
So I record everything in a program called Reaper, and I just get loads of samples and stuff from that. A lot of my synth stuff I use either massive or I use my microcorg straight. And then for the sounds of my guitar, I have quite a big pedal board now with lots of weird pedals, which can really fuck up the sound, and I like that because it keeps me on my toes and makes things a bit different, really.
Yeah.
And then what I do is I take all those samples and all those bits and I put them into the program called Ableton Live, which I can then control with my Launchpad, my controller on stage, which means that it's all synced to a tempo. So all I have to do is press a button and it's going to trigger in the next bar. So I can use it's about knowing where to use your hands at what time, and that takes a lot of practice.
So you can pretty much just press this button here with your feet, and you'll know that the next thing will trigger that, and the next thing will trigger that.
Not always with the feet. A problem with the pedals is they don't normally have that sort of circuitry. It's only with the drum machines I can be fairly confident with, to an extent. But even then, sometimes you have to cut it close, because I've seen people use loop stations before and it takes them a long time to build up a song, and it's boring for an audience.
Yeah.
You want it to seem, the best use of loop stations I think are when people don't even realise you're using them. when you're playing organically. You don't stop playing to make loops happen.
Yeah.
And that only happens, I think, for me. There are some pauses if it goes wrong, and I have to work out where it's gone wrong and fix it, while still maintaining the veneer of a performance. That happened a couple of times tonight, and it's quite a difficult. You've got to problem solve really quickly.
Yeah.
It's hard, but it's, you know, at the end of the day, you have to have a bit of confidence in yourself that you've done it hundreds of times in rehearsal, and you just know that you know how to do it.
See, from me, that commends respect anyway, because I mean, literally the way I look at it, you're going on stage on your own, you've got no allies to back it up.
Yeah.
You're going into the unknown kind of thing, and you're pressing these pedals. You know what they do, but things can still go wrong.
Oh, every time, yeah, something goes wrong.
Things can go wrong, but you're still going out there every day.
Yeah.
The things happen much. Does things go wrong much?
Most gigs I've had one or two slip-ups in some way.
Yeah.
Some big, you know, when I first started I had some major timing slip-ups, and when it goes wrong timing, it's not like being out of time in a band. It goes completely wrong. You know, everything falls apart.
And
so
you've really got to be on the ball to fix that, haven't you?
yeah, and just being able to stamp on that pedal exactly at the right time to loop stuff, it's something which takes a lot of just practice. When I first did it, I couldn't do it to save my life, and now I don't really think about it. It's just become it's like riding a bike, you know. It's
Muscle memory kind of thing.
It is.
Brain muscle memory.
That whole performance is muscle memory to an extent. It has to be, because I have to do the same thing every time, or it goes very wrong. There's not very much room for improv in that sort of
in
that music, I don't think.
Yeah.